Hello, this is Steven Seifert. Welcome to QDF 10. Unbelievable. This is my first workshop for QDF 10. And this one is called Common Late Night Jam Tunes You Need to Know. That sounds pretty prescriptive. Level 3 Intermediate. And I'll read the description real quick. Most good jams start with a few beginner tunes and then move on to at least an hour of intermediate tunes. That's true. When it gets late, these tunes regularly come out to play. I should have capitalized these. I'll make sure you can learn them. That sounds like I might be promising too much, but I think I can give it a good shot. If you will, I will. A review video is included, so I just want to be clear about that. You know, a good jam at Kentucky Music Week, the first half hour should be Bow Them Cabbage Down Slower, This Land Is Your Land, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Every time someone starts a jam tune that's too fast or one nobody knows, somebody should say, hey, let's wait for later on that one. The bulk of the jam is the intermediate. That could be 1 to 2 hours. And we're just playing stuff that most everybody can play at not too fast tempo, but, you know, not a beginner tempo. And then late is when y'all go to bed usually. And so some of us will stay up, and I'm talking 11:30 to 2 in the morning, something like that, or maybe midnight to 1 or something. And that's when the instructors and some of the students start playing the upper level tunes, often not in the key of D, sometimes though, but we're going to G and A and using a capo. And I've been doing this 25 years, and these tunes I'm giving you during this hour, I think I tried to be real honest about it to myself. These are the tunes, man. And I want you to see these suckers. And you've got them there. Benton's Dream, a Big Coyote, Chinkapin Hunting. What a great title. Has anyone ever hunted chinkapins out there? Greasy Coat. What a great title. I always think that must be a groundhog, because I hear when you cook them, there's a lot of fat involved. Julianne Johnson. And whenever anybody says this one, they always drag it out. Let's play some of that Julianne Johnson. So I thought we'd start with the key of D. Now you're going to need your capo for 3 and 4. I did not put that in the description. That's my fault. So I made sure that we we had one tune in here that's in D. If two tunes that are in D. Yeah. Oh, Texas. What about Texas? Sadie at the Back Door. Waiting for Nancy. That's a good one for KMW when we're all waiting on Nancy. If me not putting You Need a Capo in the script, just let me know. I'll send you your money back. Or half of it, whatever you know, or 2/3. We could prorate. So let's jump right into it. You know, a lot of jam tunes are done in this kind of style right here, where you're just droning. That classic dulcimer drone style. You're typically not going to do your chordal version of Old Joe Clark during the high-speed late-night jam. Let's look at, I love Sadie. I think I got 3 D tunes. What a good boy am I. Texas, no, we saved that one. Let's do Waiting for Nancy. This is a good tune. If you guys got questions, make sure you ask. And let me play it through one time for you. That's such a neat tune, the way it uses that 6. You know, it uses C sharp through a lot of the tune, but then right at the beginning of the 3rd and 4th lines, you're using that 6, that C natural. When you play in these late night jams, it's going to be a little faster. Something like that, probably. And it's going to have a little bit of a swing to it. And this is really interesting, you know. If you hear a club, most clubs don't swing. That might not surprise you at all. But a lot of clubs have very even eighth notes. Out and out, out and out and out and out and out and out. But when you listen to the better players, you get more of something that's uneven. Out and out and out and out and out and out. I want you to count with me even. Just move your lips on this. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Move your right hand in the air as you count that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If we swing it, your right hand is going to hang in the out position longer if you're an out strummer. So count out loud and move your hand with me on the swing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and some people call this long, short, long, short, long, short, long. The first of every eighth note is a little longer, and the second of every the first eighth note of every eighth note pair is longer, and the second note is shorter. And this really gives it more of an authentic sound. Now, I like playing even also, but when it gets late, you're mostly dealing with instructors, and they're all going to swing, just about, completely almost. So you'll want to do that too. So if you're not swinging, put it on your list. It's important, and you hear this in Irish music. You can hear this in Brazilian music. You don't hear it in bossa nova though. But you hear it in samba. You hear it in African drumming from Ghana. Swing is a thing, and you need to, and it doesn't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. So this is pretty straightforward, which is why I put so many tunes into this class. Let's play this one together a little bit. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 12, 11, 12, 11, 8. Next line. A part again. Here's that B part, C6, 8. Fourth line. Third line. Back to the A part. 1, 2, ready, go. Good, let's stop there. So another thing you could think about on some of these tunes do have fancier little things going on. And I want you to know how to deal with that for all of the tunes we do today. So I'm going to bring this down. Let's look at the A part here. So, first of all, look for groups of 3 notes where the first 2 are eighth note pairs. So, let me say that again. Look for a group of 3 notes where the first 2 are an eighth note, part of an eighth note pair, followed by anything, really. So, it's an eighth note pair followed by anything. And I want you to pay attention to this idea. I want it to be three different notes, not like this one in the second line, not that one. Not that one, because that's 11, 11, 12. I'm looking for three different notes where the first two are eighth note pairs. And they're all over, aren't they? These are the things that people kind of flub up. They kind of hiccup on. So I'm going out, in, out for every one of these. And I want you to think about using a 3-finger grouping for your fingering. So look at my left hand here. That first one is an 8, 9, 10. I've got 3 fingers doing that. Let's do that over and over. Out, in, out. Out, in, out. Out, in, out. Like that. And I'm swinging a little. Your 3 fingers could be middle index thumb, ring, middle index. You could come up with something else. But I don't want you to do it with 2 fingers. I want you to do it with 3. 2 fingers works at slower tempos. But at midnight, they're going too fast for that to work right. Now, you don't have to do that, but it's a good tip, I think. Secondly, let's look at something interesting. Anytime you have an 8th note pair, and let's say you even have a group of 8th note pairs, and it's just bogging you down, maybe you're just not ready for the extra notes yet. This is so important, what I'm going to show you here. Look at the 8, 9, 10 right here. To make this simpler, ignore completely the second note of the 8th note pair. I'm just going to get rid of it. So I'm going to do that to this whole A part. And I actually want you to try to play it like this. Anytime there's 2 8th note pairs, I'm going to get rid of the second note. And this is not some goofy thing that just Steve does. This is part of a much larger picture of reality for musicians. What is on the beat is more important to the melody than what is on the and of the beat. On these fiddle tunes, the way I write them here. And if you get rid of the notes on the and of the beat, you still retain the tune. Sometimes not as strong, but it's still there. If you do the opposite, though, if you get rid of the first note of every 8th note pair, you're lost. All hope is lost. That's where you do have to sell the house and get that little trailer and live down the street at that place that cut all the trees down last year. So, what do you notice about this? There's 4 numbers per measure here. Say the 4 numbers with me from the beginning. 1, 2, ready, speak. 12, 11, 12, 11, 12, 11, 9. 8, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8, 11, 12, 11, 12. Okay, that's your beginner version. So when I said in the description, I want to help you learn these, it's great if you could start with the beginner version without me having to hand you a beginner version. Just listen to this. There's a second part of this. That's boring sounding. Unless you add extra strums with the right hand. So this is probably maybe one of the last technique things of the whole class. Watch this. If there's 4 numbers per measure, then we're just doing quarter notes. Which one way to do that would be to hit outs only, like this. I want you to do that with me. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. What I do is I make that be my foundation, hitting all quarter notes, hitting outs only. But I'm going to add extra strums to flesh it out. And here's the way I think about it. I'm moving back and forth to the beat, whether I'm hitting the strings or not. But every once in a while, I let the pick do an out-in or group of out-ins. but predominantly I'm doing out only. Listen to this. Out, out. I'm going to do one out in right here. Out in, and then I get back to out only. I'm going to do another out in right here. And then I get back to out only. I'm going to do 2 out ins. Back to out only. Here's 3. Listen to that fast. Here's the game I'm doing with the right hand. The right hand is hitting every out, and sometimes I'm doing an out in or group of out ins. Here's out only. Listen to these out ins. Now I'm going to do groups of out ins, maybe 2 or 3. So when I'm looking at a tune, I am not obeying when it says to hit the strings. That is just not the way it works. I am going to do this little game here on all tunes, and then I make exceptions from time to time for little special moments. But this is how I'll strum all night, almost 80% of the time. So make sure you've got this down. Let's do it together. Hit every out. And even though you're not hitting the ends, I want you to move as if you could, if you wanted to. Every once in a while, put an out in there, and then get right back to doing out only. Or maybe a couple out ins in a row. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Now let's swing it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Do 4 out ins. 1 and 2 and 3. Now do no out ins. And 2 and 3. Now put them wherever you like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3. Now if you're not strumming like this is like not checking your oil. You know, this is not, you're never going to check your oil. What do you care, right? In the car. This is so important. This is more important than deodorant and lawyers. This is so important. If you're not strumming like this, I want you to know I think it's the best first way to strum. There's lots of good exceptions to it, but this is the best first way. You know, if you might not strum like this hardly at all, but I want that to be a decision you make after you get really good at this. Now, why does this matter? Because when you go to play this right here with 4 numbers per measure, you're just hitting outs only. Very boring. When you do an out in on all these tunes today, look at this 12 at the beginning of the tune. If you do an out in here, you're actually hitting the 12 again. Maybe I'll put some right here. Maybe this measure I'll do all 4 out in. But you should know that I never do it the same way twice. I am always improvising when the out ins happen. Am I going to do a lot? Am I going to do a little? And where do they happen? Just imagine you're a Marilyn Monroe and you're getting on the bus at the military performance. I don't know, I'm making this up. She's going to wink as she gets back on the bus. That may not be a memorized wink. She might wink at different times. That's the worst ever metaphor. But just please, we're not trying to memorize a rhythm here. So I want to be able to get rid of all these suckers. And I want you on your own to ignore the second eighth note of every eighth note pair, which will create a boring beginner version. Then I want you to improvise adding extra strums, which will now turn it into an interesting beginner version. And now you have a foundation to build on. So let's try that together. And I won't do this for every tune. I might remind you of it. But right now, I actually want to play it like that. I'm going to do just I'm going to do 4 numbers per measure, but I'm going to allow my right hand to add extra out ends to make it cool. And we're going to swing it. Out and out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and leave the 9 out. Leave the 9 out. You just pretend it's not there. Leave the 9 out. Leave that 7 out. Do that again from the top. A little faster. B part. Leave the 9s out. 10, 8, 8, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 8. Swing it. Add a lot of out ends. B part. Sometimes do an out only. Super important. And then you can start adding the extra ones. And if you get more advanced, you'll learn you can add extra ones in everywhere, even where they're not written, which we won't cover today. One reason some of y'all have a hard time memorizing all the notes is because the good players are not memorizing all the notes. They're memorizing a bare bones version, an abbreviated version. And then they learn the tricks for how do you add extra strums, how do you add fancy notes to anything simple. This is something you can learn. I teach it all the time. Doesn't mean you have to learn it or like it. But it's, some of you guys are like, how do you memorize all these hard tunes? I memorized the easy versions. I memorized a system for making simple things fancy. And now you think I've memorized a bunch of notes, but it's slightly different thing than you think. So any questions about Waiting for Nancy? It's a great, great D tune. When you guys like these tunes, I want you to look ecstatic. If you don't like them, it's kind of a voting system, but if Ann doesn't like it, it's so good, Ann. Listen to this. That's better than Pavarotti or even Elvis, if you ask me. I love Elvis. All right, I'm picking on Ann.
You're forcing me into the squeaky notes, which is good for me.
Oh, well, let's talk about that. It's a really good point. Some of these fancier tunes go up higher like this. Is that what you mean, the high notes? Now, the high notes. You notice how your spaces get smaller as you get up there? Let's say that you had a sloppy builder. When they put in frets almost perfectly down here, the math does not matter as much. It'll sound okay. But when you have a builder who's not putting the frets in accurately and you get up here, the math means more because everything's getting smaller, but his error is not getting smaller. So sometimes, especially in the old days, we would find up here inaccuracies, which makes those notes sound terrible, Ann, which makes you maybe not want to play them. Another thing, though, which is more likely, is your bridge here. Your bridge needs adjusted by somebody who knows what they're doing so that your high notes are in tune. It's a very simple adjustment. Sometimes it involves 6, 10 thousandths, something real small. It actually will make your notes up high in tune. Also, if your string's too high off the fingerboard up high, pushing them down so far will make them go sharp. So you're right, Ann. And I don't know what your dulcimer's like, but I just want to tell everybody, sometimes when a student doesn't like playing up high, I'll go play their dulcimer and I'll think, I don't like playing up high on this one either, so I actually played with a dulcimer for about a month where I couldn't adjust it and I didn't play up high. It didn't sound great. All right, we ready to start trucking? Let's do another D tune. So in summary for the technique, learn how to ignore the second note of an eighth note pair to create a 4-note version. Do some swing, add some extra strums, and get your intonation set at your bridge or saddle. Waiting for Nancy. All right, let's look at Sadie at the Back Door. This is a really good one. This is by the Canote Brothers out in Seattle, and it's a fairly recent tune, but people like it. Sadie is a cat, and the story goes, this one Jerry, or I don't know how do you pronounce his name, he would let the cat out. What is this? Your Zoom account is being signed in on another device. What does that mean? I will deny that. Hope that doesn't shut the meeting down. If this wasn't you, we recommend you update your password. Oh my gosh. I don't have time to do that. Let's see what happens. So, where are we? He'd let the cat out the front door, and it would always run around to the back. So Sadie at the back door. This one's the same kind of stuff. Let's just play it together. But if you, of course, I'm going to play it through at least once. Swinging it. 1, 2, ready, go. And if you haven't played up high a lot, it's hard to know where your hand is until you've really gotten used to it. A part. B part. Remember, if it's hard, you can take out the second note of some of the eighth note pairs or all of them. B part. That's such a cool little tune. One thing I want to draw your attention to on this particular tune, I think there's just one thing. This 4-2-1 here. Where am I? When I'm going really fast and I come across, again, it's a group of 3 notes. They're all unique. The first 2 are eighth note pairs. If I'm going really fast, I kind of get rid of what's in the middle, and I'd slide from 4 to 1. And I'm not going to go into that technique more, but I want you to see the 2 ways I could do this. Here's 4-2-1 with 3 fingers. That's actually 4-2-1-0, 4-2-1-0. I'll take the 2 out and forget it exists and just do 4-1-0, 4-1-0. But I add extra strums and I slide. And in that sliding, notes will pop out. And if you're going fast enough, that 2 will pop out without you having to manage it. So when I tell you to leave that 2 out, I want you to forget it ever existed. You don't pause at it. You just turn 4-2-1 into 4-1-0. I do this all over the place. So on this tune, if you look in the end, we've got a couple of these together. Could I roll it? There we go. Let me get rid of my red. Come on. There we go. So if you wanted to, watch. I get rid of this 5. I get rid of this 2. So here's the last 2 measures. 9, 7, 7, 4, 1, 0. And what makes it cool is the fact that you're pushing as you're moving. So again, the last 2 measures. 9, 7, 7, 4, 1. Listen to the sliding. Again. Hear that? And the way the slide is more audible is I'm doing out-in strums during the slides. I'm actually strumming the beginning of the slide, the middle of the slide, the end of the slide. Okay. So if this relationship we've entered into, if it's not working for you, I need you to ask questions. So do you have a question about the swinging, the out-ins, the taking the second note of every pair, putting slides in their place, filling the slides with extra strums so you hear them? Any questions about Sadie at the back door?
Stephen, it's Patty. I just have
Hey
a
there.
generic, when you're sliding like from the 4 to the 1, does it matter that you have the 1.5, that it kind of gets that little extra?
I don't think it matters. I know some people say, well, I don't like that in there. Well, your own drinking water at your house has weird things in it. I think the 1.5 is a lot more legitimate than extra chlorine. I know. I'm having a rough day. When I have a rough day, I do non sequiturs. I'm on medication now. But it's good to hear your voice, Patty, but I don't think it's a big deal. Now, if you're playing a chromatic dulcimer, I think the slides are too much there. The reason the slide works here is you hear a scale. That's the beauty of the dulcimer, right? I don't think the 1.5 really messes that up. It changes it, though, you know. I didn't know you were in here, but when you said your name and I heard your voice, I said, I know her. Another question or thought? Remember, you can type them in, too. All right. Let's do one more D tune. Julianne Johnson. This is a good one. And I numbered these in the upper right. So this is 5 of 8. Julianne Johnson, 5 of 8. Sometimes, you know, as a teacher, you have to just come up with something to get you through the class. I want you to know these are golden favorites at the midnight hour. You might not like me, but you better like these tunes. That's what I'm thinking. Julianne Johnson. Now, here's one that I'm giving you something I wouldn't certainly give a beginner class. This has got the notes the fiddler is often adding in. But I want you to remember you can do 4 numbers per measure. Ignore the second note of every 8th note pair. So look at the beginning. 9, 9, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 11, 12. You drop out those extra notes, but make sure you're adding in extra strums so it doesn't sound boring. Some of you, though, might be ready to play all the notes. I wouldn't play all these notes myself. I look for places to drop the second note of an 8th note pair and add those slides in because it sounds like dulcimer goodness. I'm going to play it through for you. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. First ending back to the top. Second ending, here's your B part. Next line. first ending back to the B part. Now I'm going to play that with just the 4 numbers in the B part. I'm going to do the B part. I'm only going to do 4 numbers per measure. 5, 5, 7, 7, 5, 5, 7, 7, 5, 7, 5, 4, 9, 8, 7, 5, 5, 7, 5, 5, 7, 10, 9, 9, 8, 5, 4. But I'm adding the extra strums, and wherever I'm dropping notes out, I'm sliding. So when there's 3 numbers, I drop the middle one out and slide between them. It turns the B part into a really fun thing, very dulcimer-like. Listen to it fast. A 1, 2, a 1. B part. Ready? That's what I'm really doing. Now you might say, why didn't you just write that out? Because I don't always do the same thing, and I want you to know how to look at harder fiddle tunes and convert them into something more dulcimer-like and more friendly to the faster tempos. Julianne Johnson, that's a good tune. So let's play it a little slower, just one time through. We're pushing a lot of tunes through this class. And I want you to, some of you just need to think 4 numbers per measure and slide all over the place. Add lots of extra strums from the beginning. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, slow. 3rd measure. 9, 9, 8, 5. 7, 5, 7, 10. 9, 9, 8, 5. A part again. I change it a lot. 2nd line. I don't slide everywhere. That would make me dizzy. B part. 5, 5, 7, 7, 5, 5, 7, 7, 5, 5, 7, 5. Measure 14, 5, 5. Put some extra strums in there. You might even try playing with one finger, kind of noter style. 5, 5, 7, 7, 5. Let me tell you real quick, a lot of times when they end a tune, they don't slow down at the end. They barely hesitate before the last strum, and I'm talking about the better old-time players. You don't slow down at the end. You just barely, almost unnoticingly hesitate before the last note. I'm going to end on a 1. Listen to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I exaggerated that one a little. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. See how I hesitated before the 1? Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And I want you to hesitate with your voice before the 3, the second 3. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I'm exaggerating there. Do that one more time. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You just barely. That's how old-time players end tunes. It's pretty cool. Any questions about Julianne Johnson? So the 3D tunes are now off the table. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. And you'll need a capo. And if I have to prorate, you're going to have to let's see. We went to about 241, let's say. And then we got into some other tunes. It's really common at night for them to shift keys. The banjo's often retuned for the key of G or A. They also the fiddles often retune. It depends on what part of the country and who the fiddlers are. But once they change to a new key, they hang out there for a half hour to an hour. And they just do tunes. Because if you were to jump back and forth DGA all night long, they're having to change their tuning every song. It's not going to fly. So at some point in the evening, somebody will say, "Hey, let's do some A tune." They usually do G tunes next. Oh, the A tunes are so good. We only have one G tune. Seems like there's not as many G tunes at our jams. There are certainly at others. Let's go ahead and capo at 3, and we're gonna do Big Sciote. Sometimes you'll see this written Big Sciota, which I guess they're just trying to emulate the accent there. Now, some of you, this stuff's a little harder than you'd like. I'm going a little too fast. I'm probably covering too many tunes. But hopefully you'll have most of them recorded. Hopefully I'll get 5 in. And don't forget the 4 numbers per measure. That's your starter. I'm going to swing this one and kind of go slow. Big Sciote, capo 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Second line. I'm usually hitting all the strings, even when there's stuff on the middle, back to the top. So when there's a note on the middle, just right now, I want you to do full strums. Second line. This is a great tune. Fill in the strums there. We're going to go to the second ending coming up right here. B part, a little trickier. I messed that up. B part 1. I got something on my screen. There we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Measure 13. Here's measure 17. Measure 11. There it is. It's got that neat little tag at the end all the time. I'm going to do the 4-number version from the beginning. Just listen. 0, 0, 5, 4, 4, 4, 0, 0, 0, 0, 5, 4, 4, 4. But I'm going to add extra strums. Listen. 1 and 2 and 3. That's something a beginner could do with a little help. I'm going to add extra strums, but I'm going to ignore the second note of every 8th note pair. I'm going to go and do the B part like that. 10, 10, 12, 11, 8, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 10, 8, 8, 7, 10, 10, 8, 5, 8, 8, 7, 5, 4, 4, 4, 0, 0. My left hand is thinking quarter notes. My right note is adding in extra eighth note strums. Now that's a harder tune, but I think it's such a good melody. You don't have to play it fast. But normally, do you ever sing a song like, and you don't know all the words, so you mumble through part of it? Oh, say, can you see through the dawn's early? You know, just something you'll just forget a word here or there. I do that with tunes, and I just did it. And I generally just try to think of what's coming up, and I fudge my way through to the. I really believe a lot of good musicians do this, but they've learned how to do it in a way where you don't know it. Miles Davis used to say there is no such thing as wrong notes. Now, I think what he meant was a good musician knows how to make the wrong notes right, and it's not magic. You don't need to buy those expensive oils your friends are selling. Doptera, whatever it's called. You don't need magic for this. Any questions about Big Coyote? I know if we were in person, I would be able to watch your hands and hear you, and I would go, let's do 2 more. Let's do 1 more. But I have no idea how you're doing. So when I'm in person, we'll play a tune for 30 minutes. But in this format, I'm just giving you a little taste here. Ann and Deborah are giving me thumbs up. Trevor's smiling. Some of you are at work right now. I think Brett's at work. All right, that's our G tune. Everything else here is an A tune. We've done 4 tunes, correct? 3 D tunes, 1 G. I told you, I don't even know if I told you how many we do. Let's jump down to, we got to do Texas. Texas is the king A tune after midnight. This is 7 of 8. You're going to want a capo at the 4th fret. Now, I'll tell you, I want you to see this. When I play in the late night jams, I don't use a capo hardly ever. Sometimes I do. I want you to see what I do, and I learned some of this from Don Petty. You don't have to follow me right now. I just want you to hear it. I'm in the key of D right now, D-A-D. Little bottle them cabbage in the key of D. If we're going to the key of G, I move the middle string down to a G. The middle string's an A right now. There's a G. This tuning is called D, G, D. Normally we're in D, A, D. When the band goes to the key of G, I often just tune the middle string down to a G. Now listen. You get to play in the key of G with no capo. Bottle them cabbage. Or Big Coyote. Part of the reason I do this, it puts the whole melody on the melody string. You don't have to go over to the middle. If you've ever played in DAA, you know that's one of the advantages of DAA. I also do this, though. It seems like just sticking to the melody string, it just gets this thing ringing. Sometimes I think I hear it better than when I capo. Now watch this. If I had to go back to D, I tune the middle string up to an A. And remember I told you the fiddles and the banjos retune, so that gives me time to do it. And they usually like to get a bite to eat in between. When I want to go to the key of A, I'm in D-A-D right now. I raise the bass string to an E. And then I have to check the other strings because that usually knocks the others out a little. This is E starting on the bass, E, A, D. Here's bottom, cabbage, and A now starting at 6.5. But all these A tunes fit so well here. And I learned this kind of stuff from Don Petty. He makes it work. Usually the strings break when you lower the tension. So some of you are going to want to put that on your to-do list. But we're going to capo at 4. If I'm next to someone who's doing the Don Petty method, I'll probably capo, just so we have a different sound to sit next to each other, you know. All right, any questions about that stuff? I wish we could do this all day. Texas. This is a weird tune. I want to show you why. Let's take a look at this sucker. Having a hard time with my cables today. Everything's upside down. How did that happen?
What you meant by weird?
Yeah. That's the first time that happened. You know, they update this software, and every QDF, everything's different. Okay. Let's zoom in a little bit. Texas is an interesting tune because the A and the B part both have this funny thing going on. All the measures are in 4/4. But notice here there's a measure of 2/4. And then it goes back to 4/4. Think of it this way. Everything's in 4/4. We're counting to 4 every measure. But musically, whoever wrote this decided there needed to be just 2 extra notes right before that last measure. It seems strange, but a lot of old tunes do this. It makes it hard to do it for a square dance, but it really is, once you get used to it, it's delightful. That thing we just witnessed on the B part, it does it also on the A part. At the end of the A part, same exact situation. You've got to measure a 2/4. Now, if you go to, let's say, let's see if I know what I'm doing here. Yeah. I don't know if you'll hear this. If we go to YouTube, and I type, let's see. It's not working. If you go to YouTube and you type in Texas fiddle tune, I just say Texas fiddle tune. Okay. Let's see what we get. Yeah, the internet's real slow. Have I been breaking up or anything? Is it? That's good.
You haven't been, but right now your voice is not with your mouth.
Really? Has it been like that for long?
No, just when you started to go into the internet.
Check. What about now? Check. 1, 2. Check. Check. 1, 2. Check. Check. 1, 2. Check. 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 Bop. Bop.
It's slightly off.
I'll probably have to restart the computer. But look, there's these great there's people here playing fiddle tunes. You're going to have to take my word for it. Let me get out of the internet part. All right, let's see. Check. Yeah, there's probably a delay. Anyway, you go on the line, listen to these instructions. You go online and you listen to these tunes over and over. And you sing along even though you can't sing along. So your mind says, I can't sing along. You do it anyway. You get the big obvious notes. You don't worry about the tricky ones. And eventually your voice says, you need to give up. You're not getting this. Keep singing it. You sound terrible. Keep singing it. Keep singing it. You're not trying to get the notes at first. You're trying to get the phrasing. I want you guys to do the phrasing with me. Just look at me. I want you to do this with me, with your mouth, not your hands. Ba da ba dum bum ba. Ba da ba da dum ba da. Ba da ba da da dum bum ba da dum bum 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 ba da da ba dum bum ba. Again. Ba ba da 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 dum da. Ba da ba da dum ba. Ba da ba da ba dum ba. Ba da dum bum 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 ba da 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 dum. Ba. Do that ending with me. Ba da dum bum 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 ba da da ba dum bum ba. Again. Ba da dum bum 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 ba da 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 da. Some people tell me, well, I don't sing. It's like, well, yeah, that's not the most important part. The most important part is the rhythm and the phrasing. Da 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 da. Some of you who are convinced you don't sing, you might be right about that. But everybody I've ever met can kind of pick up on the rhythm. Ba da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. So before you jump into the tablature, one reason you sing along with the tune, even though you're not getting all the notes, is you're picking up on the rhythm and the phrasing. Okay, so let's look at this tune. There's my calendar. Calendar's been scaring me today a little bit. I know we're running low on time, and I'm going to try to stop in a minute and a half. If we had 10 minutes left, I would sing this with you guys over and over, even though you would hate it. And then when we read it, you would have it. Let's pretend we just did that and you loved it. All right, here we go. This is going to be me playing so you have it later on the recording. Well, and I want to be able to see the whole thing. I almost got them all in, the 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Mess that up again. B part. B part again, and then we'll wrap it up. The B and the A end exactly alike. That little hesitation at the end. Some of you got to jump right now, but I'll hang out in case you guys have questions, and I'm going to stop the recording. Let's see.